I mean, I've had some wild dreams. One of my best friends killed somebody, and am I going to help him hide the body? And, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like wazoo.
You're a former Navy SEAL. You had to try on scenarios in your training for combat.
I mean, how do you decode a dream?
In this case about you, I would say you must have a very, very highly developed superego.
I might have a dream where I cower away and I wake up and I'm like ashamed of myself. I mean, I've had some wild dreams. Wild dreams that make no sense. Or, you know, when I dream, I'm fascinated with dreams. I don't dream a whole lot, but I mean, so what is a dream? I mean, you know, you have these dreams and it's like 1 minute you're in a street fight and then the next minute you're eating pizza with your family and then the next minute you're, I don't know, on vacation, going to like what I'm kind of saying is you get these dreams that seem to last. Sometimes they seem to last all night, and then but you can't when I try to describe it to my wife, I'm like, I don't know how we went from this scenario with these emotions to something completely different and a whole nother scenario with a whole different set of emotions into, I mean, you're happy, you're angry, you're sad, you're sorry, dreams that maybe, I don't know, you got in a fight with your wife or your wife cheated on you or, I mean, or you're mad at your kid. I mean, it's, what I'm saying is you get like this movie, if you will, in your dream, but it doesn't flow. And so it's all these different subjects and emotions and scenarios that all happen within one dream. Why does that happen?
Well, it's during our dreaming state that we're really trying to process emotions and lay down memory. And so when for example, some people have recurrent dreams, and I pay a lot of attention to somebody's recurrent dreams because that's something that you're really, really trying to work through. And some people's dreams are more transparent. It's more obvious what the dream is really about if you apply it to, you know, what's going on in their waking life. But other people's dreams are more encoded in symbols. And the more deeply encoded they are, the more it is that the person can't really face on. And so it's like you're dealing with it in code first, and then as the layers come off, you're able to see more about what the dream really is about.
Could you go into a little more detail on that? I mean, how do you decode a dream?
Well, it's something I've done as a skilled psychotherapist. How do I decode it? When I listen to the dream, I want to know what emotion first of all, what emotion came up in the dream. Okay, so you know, let's say somebody said, you know, oh, I felt really sad or I felt really scared, and I'd say, okay, what is there anything that's going on in your life that feels, or that you've been thinking about lately, that feels at all like that emotion? I mean, you know, that would be an echo of it. And they say, oh yeah, you know, I had this anxiety dream, and I'm feeling a little anxious in my new job, or, you know, I'm feeling a little anxious because my wife isn't acting the same way, and I'm wondering if something's going on, or, you know, so, and then you just keep exploring that, and you get into what in your life is similar to this, and then it just takes you down this pathway where you start to realize, oh, now you're thinking about this, but actually your dream is about something that happened to you before. So let's say a person has a dream in which they're very anxious. They say, oh, I've been wondering if my wife's, having an affair. And then you get into, oh, this person was married before and their wife did have an affair. And then you start to unpack that. And so it's, and there's certain things that become, just become obvious that's what they are. I'm trying to like an example of a dream for like, there was a time in my life when I would have a dream in which I'm driving a car and the brakes don't work. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a dream where it just feels like you don't have control over your life. It's like, well, what's going on in your life that you don't feel control over? That's a good example.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting because I have like, and I have like zero fear that my wife is going to cheat on me. But it's just, and that's just one example. But I may have a dream where I lost my son at the store and I think he got kidnapped, or I have a dream where one of my best friends killed somebody and am I going to help him hide the body? And, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like wazoo shit that just pops in my head. And it's like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, I don't have a fear of that. I don't know why. I had a dream about somebody kidnapping my kids at Walmart.
It may be, to some extent, it may be that you're trying to process things that aren't personal. In other words, we hear in the news all the time about these horror stories. And so then what happens is that, there's this human tendency to then try that on. As a way of just trying to reconcile that we live in a world in which these kinds of things are even possible. And so it's sometimes our dreams are like a rehearsal. It's sort of we're trying it on so that in case something like that did happen, that we feel prepared for it. It's like you're a former Navy SEAL. You had to try on scenarios in your training for combat. Mm-hmm. And so some of these things may be just, it's not that you have a fear of it. It's that you acknowledge that we live in a world in which those kinds of things can happen and that you have a need to feel prepared. And what's fascinating is that dreams oftentimes are places where people who normally aren't psychic or don't consider themselves psychic can actually have these experiences that are precognitive or telepathic. And I remember reading this account once of this dream that somebody had in which they worked in a chemistry lab, and their eyes, that a chemical went into their eyes, and it was going to destroy their eyeballs unless they went over into get their eyes washed. We had these stations where you would go in case something like that happened. And he had a dream of that happening to him, and then a recurrent dream of that happening to him. And then years later when it happened, he was able to get to the station faster because he had already rehearsed it in his mind.
Wow. Do you think that some dreams are a representation of your true self? And so where I'm going with this is I'll just bring up some more examples. I'm just curious of your thoughts. But I mean, when I was in the teams and contracting for CIA and all this other stuff, I mean, I would have dreams where we'd be in the middle of a gunfight and I would rise to the occasion and I would be, doing everything I'm supposed to do, heroic actions, all this other stuff. And then I might have a dream where I cower away and I wake up and I'm like ashamed of myself. Or it could be a street fight where, one dream I don't know, defend my family, from some type of an assailant. And then I may have another dream where it's, not the exact same scenario, but it might be a similar scenario. And I didn't defend them. And I'll wake up from some of those feeling either proud of my actions or ashamed. And if I'm ashamed, then I'm like, if I wake up and feel ashamed from it, I'm like, man, that's not who I am. Or It could be anything. It could be, it could be, I don't know, a dream where you do something bad and then you think, oh man, I'm not capable of doing that to somebody. Why would, I've never have done anything like this to somebody, and I always would like to think that, yeah, I'm going to stand up for my family or for my friends or for my, when I, in my other life, my former colleagues and battle. And so, I mean, so where I'm going is, do you think dreams are a direct representation of who you are?
In this case about you, I would say you must have a very, very highly developed superego. And what I mean by superego is your conscience. You're somebody that holds yourself to very, very, very high standards. And so part of how we hold ourselves to high principles is that it's criticism reward, criticism reward. It's like you so what you're doing is it's like you're being hard on yourself to keep yourself in line. And you would never do some of the things that you feel shameful about in your dreams. You would never do those things in your waking life. And part of what keeps you along that sort of straight and narrow is that you're always reminding yourself of how you would feel if you didn't. And it keeps you on task.
Interesting. Interesting. So it's like your subconscious
That's what I mean by it. It's
challenging
your
you.
unconscious. It's your unconscious that is, that's at play here. That's why I was saying that dreams are really about our unconscious.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.